Hello and welcome wherever you're at in the world to another wonderful Wellness Wednesday here at 3 International. I am your host tonight, Adrienne Ruiz, chiming in from Austin, Texas, and I am so excited for you guys to be on here tonight. If this is your first Wellness Wednesday, you are in for a treat, my friends. Make sure you text out and let everyone know, hey, jump on, because you do not want them to miss our Health Pro tonight. And so I'm so excited, you guys, because who we have on is not just a really great friend of mine and has become a really great friend of mine, but she is a true professional. I mean, she is a professor in health policy at the University of California, San Francisco. She's a licensed naturopathic doctor since 1992, California licensed midwife since 95. She's at the UCSF, the University of California, San Francisco Health Policy and Health Services Research Fellowship and Health Disparities Research Scholar of the National Institutes of Health. And not only that, you guys, but Dr. Yerger is affiliated with the UCSF School of Nursing, the Helen Diller Family Comprehensive Cancer Center, the Center for Tobacco Control for Research and Education, and she's a founding member of the African American Tobacco Control Leadership Council. You guys, she is widely published and has received numerous awards and recognitions for her research and advocacy efforts and community engagement. The last time I saw Dr. Yerger in person, you guys, we were at our May launch for this company in 2023, and she was getting ready to go speak at the White House on cessation therapy for smoking. And I cannot believe that I am like here having her on tonight. She's taken time out of her very busy schedule to be with us to talk about our new company, 3 International. So Dr. Yerger, welcome and thank you for being on here tonight. How are you doing, my friend?
Oh, it's always a pleasure, Adrienne, to be able to hang out with you and talk about something that's so dear to my heart. I do a lot of policy work, but really it's all about helping not only families, but communities to have access to wellness. And that is what really drives me.
Yeah, I get that. I think after a while, when you're really studying the human body and you're wanting the best for other people, you realize that there are proactive things that need to be done from a wellness perspective to really take control of our health. And so, but tell me a little bit more about your researches and your studies because you've done so much on how wellness works with, how we think on how we think and what we do on a daily basis. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, what's really interesting is that when I first started in naturopathic medicine back in the early 90s, there was hardly any literature on stress, but it was something that I was personally interested in. I mean, I had 4 kids. I was, taking care of my mom, helping my husband at the time when we were still married, and I was just totally stressed and I didn't feel good. I
Mhm.
just didn't feel good. And I knew back then that there was a connection between how I felt and the level of stress. And then I found myself getting into the midwifery part of my career, and then becoming a single parent with 4 kids and a mother to take care of, and I needed a job. I didn't have the luxury of building my practice. And at the time, the state of California had not licensed naturopathic doctors yet, and I was involved in that, but I needed a paycheck. And that's how I ended up at UC San Francisco. And that was back in the late 90s. And I have been there since then.
Wow. I mean, what a labor of love too, right? And it comes from such a personal space. I totally get the busy single mom. I mean, I was a single mom. I had 4.5-year-old twin girls, and that was the most stressful time of my life. It's not lost on me. That wasn't very long ago. And I look back on those days and think to myself, how many of us are living like that? And that stress, that fight or flight mentality that we've been living in for so long. And so because you came from more the naturopathic, aspect of that, what made you decide to say yes to these products and to 3? And how does that play into stress? And how do these products help with stress, I suppose I should say.
Yeah, so I am someone who understands very well the role that cortisol and other stress hormones play in disease. Stress is linked to 80, 85, depending on where you look at the data, up to 90% of our chronic diseases. And it's really underrated. We don't talk enough about the role of stress in keeping us sick. And many of us had to deal with a lot of stress. Some of us are carrying intergenerational stress with us, the trauma of dealing with the number of inequities in this society. And then the pandemic hit. And then it's like stress just hit everybody. So we are really living during a time of stress overload, which means that we don't get a break. We're chronically secreting stress hormones. And so I recognize the importance of nutritional supplements, and not just any nutritional supplements, but those supplements that come from sources where you know that you are getting ingredients that are definitely high quality, that your body can efficiently use. And the role of high grade nutrition and dealing with our stress is just something that we can't speak enough about. And so I recognize the importance of these nutrients and how valid they are in terms of being able to be utilized by the body. Because if we don't have the basic nutritional supplementation, then we're just wasting our money buying products. And I have known for decades that our soils here in the United States, locally, and then other places of the world where there's been a lot of commercialization of our soils, they're depleted of nutrients. So most of them don't even have good starting products. So I trust the source of these ingredients in our products, and I'm waiting for somebody else to come up and say there's something better, but mm-mm.
I love it. I haven't found anything better either. I just got back from a 2 to Asia, and their food sources there tasted so fresh to me. I've come back here, I've only been home for a couple days. Every time I eat something, it tastes like it's full of chlorine, or it's been washed in chlorine, or it tastes like plastic. It doesn't taste good. Our food supply here is just so different, and it's not as fresh. We're not used to eating as fresh daily as like other countries are, where they're buying their food day to day in a fresh food market. We don't get a lot of that here in Texas, I'll be honest with you. And so just thinking about that, like what you're talking about, it stresses me out just knowing the difference now, like it stresses me to feel that I know I'm not getting what I need. So supplementation is so key and so important. Talk to us, because you've studied so much on cortisol and stress and fight or flight. Talk to us a little bit more about really like how deeply that plays into like our day-to-day wellness.
So one of the things that I have been really engaged in a lot, I probably since 2009, I'm there at UC San Francisco. I'm around some great researchers and people who are doing very innovative work. And I had come across emotional brain training.
Mm.
And emotional brain training has been around probably for a good 20 years, thanks to the work of Dr. Lowell Mellon. And again, this was around the time when I had just lost my grandfather, who was my biggest fan. My marriage had already just tumbled into nothingness, and I just wasn't getting any support for the kids. And yet I had this important research happening at UC San Francisco, so I couldn't stop. So I went to this talk to hear about how to deal with stress for my own sake. And what I learned was just absolutely amazing. And I have been really engaged in trying to help others to understand that when we have high levels of cortisol, it forces us to disconnect from our executive functioning, which occurs in our prefrontal cortex. So you said earlier, Adrienne, about being stressed out and being in fight flight. Well, this is what happens. Whether it's a real stressor or a perceived stress, it doesn't matter. Once the brain perceives that there is a stress, it causes this cascade of events to occur so that cortisol is released. And cortisol is a good thing. It's important to have cortisol, because if you're in a situation where you've got to get out of a threatful situation, you have to be prepared to do that. The problem is that most of us stay in that stressful mode when there's no reason to be there, and it's no fault of our own. And I mentioned earlier about the pandemic. The pandemic pushed us over the edge. Research is showing that across all age groups, across all racial, ethnic groups, across areas outside of this country, all across the world, that the stress level has increased to such a point that most of us are walking around totally disconnected from our executive functioning and being controlled by our emotional brain, where we are stuck in these really difficult emotions and we're not able to really connect. So if we're going to be helping people to find wellness, we have to find a way for people to reconnect to their executive functioning and their brain, so that we can communicate and love on each other and be creative. And that's something that I'm actually driven to right now, is to help folks find that way back, to connect the emotional brain with our thinking brain.
That you just summed up, like if I were to say one thing that I personally experienced, it's like I feel what you're talking about. I definitely have gone through that myself. I also noticed that I'm more addicted to my electronics than I used to be before. It's like there are certain things like I have to really watch myself from scrolling at night, you know, things like that, from not allowing myself to come down. Now also I'm going through some serious jet lag. But even myself, I've noticed, like, I'm like, oh gosh, like this, it feels like a deep state of stress. Jet lag does a little bit. But as you can imagine, my children also having gone through the pandemic, I noticed have had a huge change where I have to go in and shut the phones off, like shut those things, because we're just not communicating enough and more of a heart-centered space. I think we've all kind of checked out a little bit in our own way. That's what I have found to be true, and I've noticed that a lot of my friends and their children feel the same way. We have been through a lot. Like if we really look back, I mean, this is not something that was easy for anybody, not anybody in the entire globe. I mean, I just got back from the Philippines too, and it's the same thing. Like we were talking about stress and how stressful life can be, right? Well, yeah, you are speaking like to my soul right now, as far as like how we need to help people, because you're right. Physical, having good health and wellness products is one thing, but also understanding the role that it plays in our emotional health is huge. I mean, it's like the reason, right? You know, we have so many people walking around stressed. That's true, but we always chalk it up to things like, oh, ADD or this or whatever. But maybe, but you guys, honestly, I think so much has changed since then. And you're absolutely right. So share a little bit more about what you found to be helpful. Yes, we're talking about these products. I feel we're kind of flip-flopping back and forth a little bit, but when we talk about these products, are there any specific products that you're currently using or you're promoting specifically that can help with that emotional trauma? Because that's kind of what we're
Yeah,
covering.
that's exactly what it is. And I like to think of being someone who's very concerned about brain health. So we understand how important a vitamin, multi nutrient supplement is. We never used to give the credit that these vitamins deserve. But recent research coming from from places like Columbia University, UC San Francisco. I mean, just high regarded research institutions are conducting these studies to show how important nutritional supplementation is. And especially now, during the time where we are, disconnected from our executive functioning, we know that nutritional supplementation helps with our cognitive abilities. It helps with being able to remember things. And this has been shown to be extremely important for those of us who are aging. That, it's not maybe just a necessary process that we get dementia. It's a lot of times has to do with the level of stress and just not having access to the nutrition that we over eons of time have had. So the Vitalite is definitely a must have for those of us who know that we're not getting the right nutrition. And I had a similar experience that you did. I got back from Dubai about a couple of years ago. I have not been well since then in terms of walking into our grocery stores and seeing food that just doesn't look alive. And I'm like, wait a minute, they're in the desert. How did they pull this off? And I find myself like looking around at people like, is anybody else disappointed in what is in our, on our shelves in the store? So we get used to it and we think that that is our norm. It is not our norm. So vitality is extremely important. Um, One of the other products that I think, oh, there are a bunch of products here, but another product that I think is very important is our Revive, our anti-inflammatory. And let me tell you why. When we are stressed, we do not digest our food because digestion is not a priority under stress. When we're under stress, the priority is to either flee a threatful situation or to defend yourself against it. So the heart's working really hard, it's pumping very quickly. Thinking is not a priority when you're in stress, and definitely not digesting your food. And so what happens, because many of us will eat when we're feeling kind of stressed, we're not digesting our food. And so these large particles of undigested food will find their way out of your GI system and will be floating around in the bloodstream. That causes inflammation. So the need for an anti-inflammatory is extremely important during the time that we're all trying to figure out how to decrease the stress, how to deal with the stress. What do we do right here, right now? Dealing with the inflammation is extremely important. And when the body sees those particles, we not only get the inflammation, but the body sees it as foreign substance. And so what does that do? That will cause your immune system to get, overactive because it's got to create these antibodies to go after these foreign substances. So for that reason, immune is good. I just, as a naturopathic doctor, I appreciate the ability of supplements to either help when we need help or to help calm down if we're too hyper in any of our functions. And so that's something that I really appreciate about the immune as well.
Did you hear about this? What you brought it, you triggered an article that I recently heard from another doctor who said that this was from the New England Journal of Medicine, who talked about they were studying heart disease and stress and all of that, and they were doing autopsies on people who'd passed away from heart attacks and, too much inflammation, toxicity overload, things like that. And they were pulling arteries out and they were cutting them and they were testing the plaque that caused the heart attack, et cetera. And they were finding a bunch of microplastics in there. So when you think, I don't look at your face, and when we talk about our food supply being deficient, what we're also not talking about is the amount of toxins that we're ingesting, a lot of them being microplastics and things like that you don't realize that you're getting. And it's more than just drinking out of plastic water bottles, things like that, you guys. It's in our food, it's in our
In the
foods.
environment. It's in our environment.
Exactly. And so when you hit the nail on the head there when you talked about a body that is stressed can't digest, and that is exactly what's happening. We're getting inflamed, we're getting swollen, right? We're really struggling with any type of nutritional absorption. We're just simply not getting what we need. Um, I think about Purify, like when we talk about that, like how can we help the body detoxify? Is that a product that you like, the
Yeah,
Purify?
can I tell you why I love the Purify?
Yes.
So so when we're under stress and the body's needing to create these stress hormones, um, the cortisol is actually synthesized. It starts as a precursor. And one of the precursors for cortisol is not actually floating freely in the body, it's part of a larger molecule. So when the body needs additional cortisol, and this is a process that's going on all the time if you're under constant stress, it will cleave this larger molecule to release a precursor that then goes on to make cortisol. Well, what else gets released when this cleavage happens is something called melanocyte stimulating hormone, MSH. That gets released at the same time as the precursor. Now, for those of us who have darker skin, we have higher levels of melanin, but we basically all have some level of melanin. So that MSH will stimulate the production of melanin. So if there are toxins in your body, those toxins get absorbed into the melanin synthesis process. So those tissues containing melanin will very often have toxins. I wrote a paper about it. I looked at it specifically with nicotine, but what our research showed is not just nicotine, it's not just the tobacco specific carcinogens, but it's lead, it's other heavy metals, it's other environmental toxins that get absorbed into melanin that is created during the times of stress. So that purify is extremely important. If you're somebody who's living in a very toxic environment, which applies to most of us, you're going to be likely exposed, and you're probably carrying around toxins in your tissues that you didn't know that you had. So the purify is extremely important as part of our normal daily intake of nutrients.
Yeah. And just helping out, you guys, just purify for those who might be new listening in. It's a product that has a lot of greens in it, chlorophyll, it's got humic shell, it's got good stuff in there that helps prime your kidneys, your liver, your colon, prime your pumps in your body to be able to bind to heavy metals, artificial sugars, and release. So you're absolutely right on. Would it help with stress then by helping shuttle out some of the toxins? Would it help reduce the stress load on the body? I'm assuming so, but love to hear your take. Yeah.
Well, if you think about how busy the body is when it's not healthy, people complain all the time about being extremely tired. Well, your body's at work. So when we're resting, we're not actually resting like we should because we're overburdened with the need to detoxify. We're overburdened with the need to try to help the body make up for what it's lacking in terms of just basic bodily functions. When we are getting the nutrition that we need, when we are having these moments where we're not secreting cortisol, but we're secreting feel-good hormones. Like people are like, what are feel-good hormones? When you secrete feel-good hormones, you can't secrete cortisol. It's one or the other. So I try to get people to understand how important it is to recognize what are those things that you do that bring you joy. It could be certain music, it could be listening to certain people. There are times when I feel this surge of joy just when I think of someone. And if that person is around me, I've grown to tell the people, I just want you to know, I feel really good when I see you. I heard your voice, and I just want you to know, I want us to become people who know that we have the ability to secrete our own feel-good hormones, and we let people know that this is normal and this is happy. We come from a species that is very intent on surviving and perpetuating, but we are created as loving individuals to keep the species going. So we have these abilities that are natural and normal. We just don't recognize it as being good and healthy for us. But when we start to hear and understand, and then we know that we can, at any given moment, have our own cloud nine whenever we want to, it's very, very useful for helping us get to a place where we're not secreting cortisol and we're becoming healthier. And if we're doing that and we're providing our bodies with the nutrition that it needs, and we're around others who are doing the same thing, life becomes a lot more fun.
Mm. Well, I mean, honestly, I got the chills when you said that because I feel like that's so overlooked in our society. We are trained to be workers, I mean, that's really what we do. We work, work, work. And we very rarely reflect on the happy times, the moments that really bring us joy. And I remember one time having a business coach who used to tell me, he said, the key to happiness is finding moment to moment joy. And I realized that you're just like you said just now. I mean, at any one given moment, you can think about that person, think about that scenario, that community, or whatever it is that really brings you joy and makes you happy, and immediately stop that cortisol, that stress hormone. I will say that I feel like because we are in such a go, go, go society, that's part of our biggest problem is it's like that song, I'm in a hurry to get things done. I rush and rush until life's no fun. And that's part of the reason why I love this business, this opportunity to co-create and collaborate together around health and wellness products is because everybody I talk to is seeking that same thing. We want to have more joy in our life. We want to have more happiness. We want to help our bodies get rid of the negative energy so that we can be more reflecting on the positive moments and giving ourselves a leg up with good high quality supplements to be able to do that. So I recognize that that's what you see here, and it's such like a confirmation to me that I'm also in the right place. And for every single one of you guys listening in, you're in the right place as well. You truly are. If it's your first time on here tonight, I hope you can feel really the sincerity of Dr. Yerger here sharing with you about how you can live a life that's less stressful. You can do it in a way where you're focused on your health and your nutrition and really being able to create that day-to-day joy and having a better overall lifestyle. So we actually have some incredible testimonials on tonight, and I know you know who they are. So I'm excited because you guys on this Wellness Wednesday call that we do every single week, we really like to feature real people, real results, and what's really going on. You don't just want to hear it from Dr. Yerger or myself. We want to hear it from people who are using the products as well, and are fairly new to really experiencing what we're offering here with our 6 key wellness products currently. And so I would love to have Dr. Karen Beard join us and also Rosalind Cole. Hello, ladies. You're welcome to join us. Hi. Thank you guys so much for being on. We have some wonderful friends here with us. And so I would love to first, Rosalind, if you would like to just share a little bit about yourself and why you're so excited about 3 and kind of what happened to you when you're on the products. We'd love to start with you.
Well, good evening, Adrienne, and of course my invite from Dr. Yerger. I basically am a person who's from Berkeley, California, but has enjoyed life. I've lived all over the world. I'm an Air Force veteran, a war veteran. And, for all the years that I've worked, I've dealt with a lot of stress. And actually, I've ran hospitals. I was a flyer. Like I said, in Desert Storm. But this past summer, I was in Anchorage. I also grew up in Anchorage, Alaska. And Dr. Yerger shared with me these vitamins. If anybody has been to Anchorage, it's a beautiful place, so peaceful compared to the Bay Area. And so I just took them every day. And it was very beautiful. My stress level went down, I think. And I'm looking forward to, my new supply. But I can tell you, as a service-connected war veteran, there's a lot of stresses that I deal with every day, just dealing in the community, because, like a backfire can make me think I was in the war. And so I appreciate that. And I appreciate Dr. Yerger for basically introducing me to 3. And I look forward to, taking them again. Any questions for me?
I mean, that's amazing. Wow. I mean, all the things that you've experienced in life, being in the Air Force and everything else, and these products are making a difference in your stress level. And I think that's huge. So I really appreciate you sharing that. Val, what do you think about that?
I was just remembering when I introduced 3 to you, I had picked you up and we went to a picnic, and you were so appreciative that I had called you. And it's making me think about taking that effort to just reach out and touch someone. And I think you might have seen them. They might have been in my car or something. I think I had them in the car. But we're really about being humans and loving each other and just connecting. You just don't know if someone's going to be in need of it. Like I just thought that I would share because she was there and was asking about them. And look at her now and look how she really benefits. And I know that she's interested because she wants to get more of the products.
And Adrienne, I would also like to say, I've had a lot of training, like what Dr. Yerger talked about with EBT, as well as mindfulness. And all these uh, training as well as yoga. And I also do water aerobics, but really mindfulness and dealing with your mind and how you feel is important. And I just had some more training this past weekend on mindfulness and just, how to deal with everyday living. So when you have uh, support in your body, not only your food, your vitamins, as well as women vitamins. If you're older, over 50, it really does matter. It makes you feel good to get out. Today was a beautiful day in Berkeley. It was sunny. Tomorrow's going to be 70, and I appreciate that. And I want to thank you, Dr. Yerger, for helping me see the realization of how 3 can help you move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's just good to know that it's making a difference, for so many people, and including you, who really has had mindfulness training too. And you're saying, yes, I know how I'm supposed to make things right, but this product is helping as well. So I appreciate that so much. And so now we're going to have Dr. Karen Beard share with us a little bit. Welcome, Dr. Karen. Love to hear about your 3 experience.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Hello, everyone. Well, I wish that I could share such a noble cause of stress management and trying to manage my stress. But the truth of the matter is, I saw Dr. Yerger one day at a meeting. I can't remember if it was a Zoom meeting, and she was looking so good. I was like, wait a minute, what she got going on that she's not telling me, right? And so finally, or ultimately, Dr. Yerger invited me to a 3 meeting, and you all were going through the products and everything. And I said, oh, that's her secret. And so I signed up. For those of you who don't know, Dr. Yerger and I do tobacco work together, and that's why we're in a lot of meetings together. And so, being very transparent, that's why I signed up. I want to look like Dr. Yerger, and so I am using 3 products that I can't say enough about, and that's and forgive me, I'm not going to call the names right. I'm just going to pronounce them like I can. The collagen, the Eternal, and what is it? The Vitate.
Vitality.
Yes, yes. And so those are the 3 products that I'm using right now. And I love, love, love those products. And here's why. First of all, when I attended the meeting and I learned that the collagen and the Eternal were liquid, I mean, you had me then because I really like liquid vitamins and minerals because I know that they get into the bloodstream much faster than if you take a pill. It has to go to your stomach and be acted upon by the gastric juices. So it was like, yay, they're liquid. And I'm also using the Vitate, and although they are pills, what I like about those pills is that they're not big horse pills, so they're easy to go down. And so I'm not a pill person. I don't look forward to taking pills, but I look forward to taking those because, they're the right size. There's no aftertaste. And so I just love the formulation of the products. And also, I appreciate the packaging. And what I mean by that is that, I turned 73 this year. I don't have arthritis or anything, but sometimes I can't open packages. And it's like, okay, I got to get one of those squeeze balls and start working these hands. But I appreciate that the packaging is easy to open, like the collagen, you can actually, where it's perforated, you can, open it without needing scissors or anything. I also appreciate that it's easy to travel with the products because they're not in a jar. I can put them in my suitcase. It doesn't add that much weight. And so I can, take it with me and not be concerned about, adding weight to my suitcase. And so I really like that. And then they're pretty. They're in nice, pretty colors for girls. And so I appreciate that, the lilac, the green, and but most importantly, I had an experience where I had occasion to call the, I'll call it administrative support. I had placed my order, and for some reason, my order didn't come. And so I called the 800 number, and the person that worked with me, let me tell you, they were kind. I felt like they were very interested in helping me solve my problem because I was a little testy. I was like, where's my products? You told me they'd be here. I get that way, but don't judge me. And so, anyway, so he stuck with me. He was kind. We figured it out. And, in these days, customer service, where it's so lacking, the way he treated me, priceless. I mean, and then I felt bad. I just fell all over myself, apologizing for being testy. But I think it's important when you're using products. A lot of times companies will sell you products and then, the relationship then changes. They don't kind of want to be bought. But he made me really feel like he cared about me. And so that's what I like about three products as well. Everybody that I've had an opportunity to interact with have that caring, a spirit about them. And so three is just not a company or a set of products where, they take your money and then you're on your own. Whenever I have a question about it, I'm an educator too. So I ask a lot of questions and I don't get any pushback on, oh, you asked too many questions, or it's okay, let me send you this, let me send you that. And when you're just getting introduced to products, I believe that's so important, and so I sing the praises of three. And let me tell you, I go way back. I don't know if you guys remember Sarah Coventry Jewelry. I sold Sarah Coventry Jewelry. And where I sold a lot of, I've been involved with a lot of multi-level marketing, but this is top notch, the products, the process, and the people.
Oh, that was so beautiful. We didn't pay her for that testimonial, you guys. Like that was of her own free will, okay? I mean, Karen, that is beautiful. Honestly, it makes
No,
me want.
I really believe that. That's coming from the heart.
Yeah. Oh, no, you can feel it. You can feel it for sure. I'm glad you're having such a phenomenal experience. I feel the same way that you feel. I feel like the customer service is so important for any business. And I feel like we really do a lot of good training around that because the goal is to help people be happier and healthier, right? That is the purpose of this. And so, yeah, we might call a little testy sometimes, but I love how they handle everything. And my goodness, if I can look like you at 73, I mean, I would just be so thrilled. I'm going to keep taking the collagen and the eternal
Yes.
vitamins. So amazing. Yes, Dr. Yerger, anything you would like to share about Karen's testimonial tonight?
I learned a lot. Like she didn't call me, but you're resourceful, and I love it because as a result, you have this incredible testimony that you can share, and that others on this call have heard about as well. Because sometimes we get kind of nervous about picking up the phone and asking, especially if we think about something after we hang up, do we call them back? So thank you. I truly, truly appreciate that, Dr. Karen. That was beautiful. Beautiful.
My
Yeah.
pleasure.
Well, thank you guys, everybody, for being on tonight. What a powerful Wellness Wednesday. I have a feeling we're going to get a lot of replays out of this one, Dr. Yerger, Dr. Beard, and Rosalind. I just feel like you guys were all just beautiful, beautiful people to hear from tonight. You've totally touched me and made my experience in three just that much higher. Hearing how you guys are seeing it and how and really what your take is on that. And so, Dr. Yerger, any closing words or any tips or words of advice or anything you'd like to share before we head out tonight?
Yeah, I had wanted to share and didn't know how to do this. My I guess it's okay to share. Um how much I saved last year on my taxes because I now have a home-based business. We don't talk about that. And I'm looking forward to doing my taxes again this year. I usually don't like doing my taxes. But I see a world where we're helping folks to put money into their pocket while we're helping them deal with whatever the voids that they might have, the stress that they're dealing with, so they don't feel a need to spend that money. That we're not supporting just being a consumer here. We're talking about giving people the means to have the kind of life that they want. For me, the money represents mobility, being able to go wherever I want to go, whenever I want to go, and to take people with me, whoever, and that is something that I see here, and that's what I have experienced with others who are part of three, and I just that's my world. It's not just about making money; it's about making money and keeping your money because you don't feel a need to consume.
Mm. That was so beautifully said. Oh my goodness. I mean, I have been full-time in this profession for 16 years now, my husband for 30. And I feel really blessed by this industry to have been able to make a substantial income, but also to be able to help other people too. And I'll tell you, all the time people will ask me, like, I don't know how you do it. It's network marketing. How is this? And I said, I'm just here to help educate. Like, that's my whole thing. If I can help somebody be happier and healthier, and they go out and they share it with a few people, and the company pays them to do so, or they're able to save money on their taxes, like you said, you're a doctor and you're saving more money on your taxes by having an additional business, the way that this is set up. So that is beautiful, you guys. I mean, and it's not lost on me that so many of us out there, we're looking for a little bit of a tax break maybe, but we're looking for a way to help more people feel better on a daily basis. And truly, this industry, and specifically three, is doing such a phenomenal job of really crossing those T's and dotting those I's in every single area. So honestly, I'm thrilled that you shared that. I think that's substantial. And so you guys, thank you so much for being
You're
on
welcome.
tonight. This has been such a beautiful conversation and such an incredible Wellness Wednesday. And for those of you guys who are listening in, maybe this is your first time ever listening on the call, please get back to the person that invited you on here. They were hoping that you'd come on, that you'd get some education, which I believe that you had tonight. Hopefully you found a lot of value in what was shared from Dr. Yerger and her friends. I know I found a lot of value in it. But get back to that person who invited you on and ask those questions, right? Be like Dr. Karen, ask those questions, get your questions answered so that you guys can, really, truly just not hesitate and get these products in your body. I always tell people at the end of the day, I'd rather you get started than not, whether you order one product or a big pack of products, doesn't matter to me. Get the products in your body so you can start feeling better like us. And we welcome you on to our next Wellness Wednesday. So thank you guys so much. We'll talk to you later. Have a wonderful
Great.
night.
Thank you, Adrienne. Thank you, Rosalind. Thank you, Dr. Karen.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.